Okay, let's dive right in. We're going to take a trip down memory lane, but listen, this is not just another best of list. No, this is an explainer about the clubs that were true game changers, the ones that didn't just rack up wins, they literally rewrote the rules of how golf is played.
So, what is it? What's that secret ingredient, right? What takes a club from just being, good to being legendary, an absolute icon? Well, that's what we're here to figure out.
See, it's not just about trophies or tour wins. The clubs we're going to talk about, they're legendary because they brought something totally new to the table. Maybe it was a wild new idea, a piece of tech nobody had seen before, or just a whole new way of thinking. Whatever it was, it left a permanent mark.
All right, first up, let's head back in time. We're talking the 60s through the 80s. This was an era where it was all about one thing, feel, and just solid fundamental design. These are the clubs that really built the foundation for, well, pretty much everything that followed.
And our first stop? Oh man, it's an absolute giant. The Ping Anser putter. This thing was literally born in a garage back in 1966. And I'm not exaggerating when I say this is probably the most copied golf club design ever in the history of the sport. And all that influence, it all boils down to one simple, brilliant, game-changing idea.
That big idea was something called perimeter weighting. It was a total revolution in stability. The designer, Karsten Solheim, he had this genius thought: what if we take the weight from the middle of the putter and push it out to the heel and toe? And boom, suddenly the putter became incredibly stable, even when you didn't hit it perfectly. It introduced a level of forgiveness that golfers had just never, ever seen before.
And did it work? Oh, you better believe it. The proof is right there in the numbers. Ping's official site says this design has over 500 tour wins. But get this, that's just the official Ping ones. That number doesn't even begin to count the thousands, and I mean thousands, of wins from all its copies. You know, clubs like the Scotty Cameron Newport 2. When you add it all up, it is without a doubt the winningest putter design of all time. Period.
Okay, next up we've got one for the purists, the artists, the Mizuno TP9. So while Ping was busy cracking the code on forgiveness, Mizuno was on a totally different quest. They were chasing the perfect feel. Guys like Sandy Lyle, just legendary ball strikers, they used these. And these irons, they became the gold standard for what a forged blade was supposed to feel like.
What Mizuno did was they absolutely perfected the art of precision forging. And it created this feel. You've heard the phrase, right? Like butter? That's where this comes from. It was just so much softer, more responsive than anything else out there. And that's what built Mizuno's reputation for incredible quality, a rep they still have to this day.
All right, let's jump forward a bit. We're heading into the 90s, and this is where things start to get, well, a lot bigger and a lot louder. It was all thanks to a massive shift in the actual materials clubs were made from.
So, say hello to the driver that literally changed what you saw when you stood on the tee box, the Callaway Great Big Bertha. This was a huge deal. It was Callaway's first time using titanium, and this new material, it was way lighter than steel, but also stronger. And that allowed them to do something absolutely radical.
They made the head bigger. I mean, a lot bigger. You gotta love the names, right? First it was Big Bertha, then Great Big Bertha, then the biggest Big Bertha. It tells you everything you need to know. Compared to the tiny little drivers everyone was used to, the size of this thing was just shocking. And for us regular amateur golfers, it gave you this incredible boost of confidence. You just felt like there was no way you could miss the face.
Now, this era also gave us a really cool showdown in the wedge world, a sort of old school versus new school battle. On one hand, you had the undisputed king, the Cleveland 588. Just a classic. Simple, beautiful, reliable. The best in the world trusted it. Even Tiger Woods used one in his epic '97 Masters win. But then, the game changed. A guy named Bob Vokey came along with his spin-milled technology in this whole new universe of custom grinds and bounces. And just like that, Vokey became the new boss of the modern wedge game.
Okay, so now we're entering the new millennium, the 2000s, and you can feel the focus of innovation start to shift. It's becoming less about just brute force and raw power, and more about smart, clever design. Designs that can help everyday golfers with, the really tricky parts of the game.
And that brings us perfectly to a putter that,
let's be honest, looked pretty wild at the time, but its genius was in its simplicity. I'm talking, of course, about the Odyssey Two-Ball. When this thing launched, it was an absolute phenomenon.
The genius was just how simple it was. I mean, think about it. What's the best way to line up a golf ball? Well, how about using 2 more golf balls? It sounds so obvious now, right? But back then, it was completely revolutionary. If you were a golfer who struggled with aiming your putts, this thing was a total godsend. You pair that alignment aid with that super soft, iconic white-hot insert, and it's no surprise it became one of the best-selling putters of all time.
All right, let's fast forward to the modern age, the 2010s. And now, the design arms race, it really becomes about one thing and one thing only: speed. How do we generate absolutely insane ball speed and just hit the ball farther than humanly possible? That was the mission. And you know what? No club captured that quest for speed better than the TaylorMade Rocketball's fairway would. The marketing for this thing was, let's just say, aggressive. They were promising golfers an extra 17 yards. But here's the crazy part. For once, the hype was real. The club actually delivered. It was an absolute rocket ship off the deck.
So how did they do it? The secret sauce was the speed slot. It's just this little channel cut into the bottom of the club, right behind the face. But what it did was let the face flex like a trampoline when you hit the ball, especially on those thin shots. And that created just explosive speed. It worked so well that basically every other company had to scramble to cook up their own version just to try and keep pace. And that brings us to our last club on the list, a driver that, honestly, so many people, experts and amateurs alike, still consider a modern masterpiece: the 2017 TaylorMade M2. Even all these years later, its performance is still top tier. It was just perfect. The perfect blend of insane distance, great forgiveness, and that iconic black and white crown. But hey, don't just take my word for it. Listen to Rory McIlroy, arguably the single greatest driver of the golf ball to ever live. He has said multiple times that if he wasn't contractually obligated to play something else, he would probably still be playing the TaylorMade M2. I mean, seriously, can you get a higher endorsement than that? I don't think so. So, as we start to bring this all home, it's pretty clear, right? What makes a golf club great has changed so much over the years. We've gone from the simple, elegant genius of moving weight around all the way to the complex, high-tech science of maximizing ball speed. And looking at this timeline really puts it all into perspective, doesn't it? Each one of these clubs isn't just a club, it's a milestone. It's a brand new chapter in the story of golf tech, from perimeter weighting to precision forging, from titanium heads to alignment aids and speed slots. Each one completely redefined what we thought was possible with a golf club. But you know what the absolute coolest part of all this is? You can actually own these pieces of golf history. And for cheap. Seriously, thanks to the used market, you can go out and buy a game-changing icon like the Great Big Bertha for, less than the price of a round of golf, maybe $30. It's such a cool way to actually feel the evolution of the game in your own hands. Now I know, I can already hear you screaming at your screen, "You forgot the..." I'm sure I've missed somebody's all-time favorite club, so I have to turn it over to you. What's the obvious classic that we missed? More importantly, what is your pick for the single greatest, most game-changing club of all time? Let me know. Let the debate begin.